What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room YouTube channel and another edition of the Debate Room. I'm absolutely buzzing to be joined by James Dean, Bob, and Drew. We'll start off with you, James. How are you, fella?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Still in lockdown due to catching COVID and New Year's Day, but pretty much feeling back to full health. But I'm just sat at home constantly, so I'm losing my mind a bit. But these videos, I think I've been on 3 days in a row now just to keep my sanity going.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the best way to get through coronavirus. That's scientifically proven. Is to watch the LFC Transfer Room channel, in my opinion.
Definitely.
We're also joined by Bob. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, all good. All good, thank you. Good health, thankfully. But yeah, all good, just work. That's about it, really. The year started like nothing before, so all good.
Absolutely. And we're also joined by a beardless Drew. We can no longer make Alison Becker comparisons.
Well, it'll only take like 2 weeks if I want to grow it back. But I'm doing good. Looking forward to the Arsenal game. No, we're talking about Mo Salah, but my head's on that. Hoping Salah gets sorted.
Absolutely. We have got Louis in the chat who's sending some super stickers. That's what we love to see. £1.79 as well. He's just testing out our super chat system. Absolute legend that he's Louis. So yeah, we're also so close to 2,000 subscribers. I think we're about 2 or 3 subscribers away. So if you subscribe and get us to 2K by the end of this, it would be incredible. It's testament to all of the work of everyone that's been part of the channel, including the guys on the streams and everything. So make sure to do that. So I just want to, before we get straight into the contract situation of Mohamed Salah, anyone been watching the AFCON and just seen the game between Senegal and between Nigeria and Egypt? Anyone? No?
Yeah, I've been watching it.
Yeah.
Watching it
How
while
was it,
I'm
man? How
working.
was it? Do you enjoy it?
It was okay. It wasn't the most riveting game, but you can tell the difference that Nigeria just well better than Egypt. You do feel sorry for Mo a little bit because he's like way better than everybody else in his team. But it's kind of what else can you do really? He's trying his best. But I think in the first half they said he had like 9 touches, which when he's getting the balls from Trent and everybody else in our team, he's getting more than 9 touches. I think that was 9 touches in the opposition half, let alone in the box. So not quite sure how much he got in the box, but yeah. You can tell he's a bit frustrated, but it's part and parcel of international football, isn't it? You don't get to pick. You can't just buy players in, I guess. So you just got to crack on.
100%. I've enjoyed the tournament so far. I'm not sure it's been the biggest quality, but I just love seeing different players and different teams than you would usually see. Watching that Cape Verde, Ethiopia the other day, and getting to know who Gary Rodriguez was pretty cool and all that. So Louis said 1 subscription to 1 year to Salah's contract. 2,000 years. I think he might be long gone by then. But boys, we'll start off with you, Drew. We're gonna go. How long do you think? Well, obviously we've been debating Mohamed Salah's contract for probably since the summer. How long do you think we have to give him that contract? Because time is running short, mate.
Yeah, we cannot let it go into the situation where it's running out the last year of his contract. If this doesn't get shored up pretty much by the end of this season, I think that he's going to be in the shop window in the summer. I don't see any other way, unless they're 100% sure they can get the deal done. If it's up in the air by summer, then unfortunately, we've left it that late, and I think that we can't risk losing him on a free.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is an argument though, Bob, maybe that if we did have sales, we'll lose the wages of Alex Oxlade, not Oxlade-Chamberlain, of James Milner, potentially Oxlade-Chamberlain, potentially more players leaving in the summer, that there would be more finances available for Salah's contract.
Yeah, that is a fair point. That is a fair point. But I mean, I've got a gripe against the owners. I mean, they've been great, and I don't want to drag the conversation onto that, but it kind of relates to this situation.
We'll be going
Sure, I mean, it relates to this situation why we find ourselves in with the best player in the world at the moment, down to 18 months. And he's been saying the same things he's come out and said again since around about October last year. So, I mean, you can look at it both ways, though, to be fair. There's part of me that thinks he keeps saying this and he keeps saying, I've told them what I need and it's down to them. Now, that's very fair enough, but it's kind of what exactly is it that you need? Because all this does is just makes us all against the owners, which is what's going to happen if he ends up leaving. But it depends what it is he's demanding. I know people are like giving whatever he wants, but what is it that he actually wants? If it's a case of he wants improvement in the team, I'm with him. If it's a case of he wants 600, 700 grand, if FSG literally can't do that, then they can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like it needs to get done. Those wages that are going to get freed up for me, I don't think it should even have to come into that. Really, it should just be sorted, and then those wages can go into additions. We can't keep cutting corners. We've been trying to do this for so long, and yeah, it gets frustrating.
No, James, that you're going to take up a little bit of a I don't know, a what devil's avocado point here, right?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, what do you think the obstacles are for Mo Salah, and why would FSG be put off from giving the contract to probably the best player in the world at the moment?
So, to start with, I'm just going to say the contract thing, I think, is being run down is pretty much a world football thing going on at the moment. You've probably got the best player in the world in Salah running his contract down, and the most valuable asset in world football in Mbappe running his contract out. It seems to be the norm now. People are running out their own contracts so they can get the payday themselves and not the transfer fee. But I think where FSG are struggling with the Salah contract is the whole Moneyball principle that they're trying to implement. So if you say Salah gets a 4-year contract, at that point, he'll be 33 years old. That is a zero resale value. That I think, yes, Ronaldo sold for 100 million at over 30, and then the next highest player ever was 37 million in Bonucci for an over 30 sale. So what they're in essence doing is writing off 100 million pounds worth of sale to say we're going to keep him at Liverpool for the next 4 years. Now, FSG might be going, Mbappe's free. We could keep him for 4 years and pay him same salary. Would we sell him for 100 million at 27 in 4 years? Potentially. So I think they're playing with this game in their head going, are we going to write off 100 million pounds to keep Salah? Because that's the decision that they've got to make. Now, yeah, as fans, it's obvious. You want to win trophies. We want to win things. But they also want to balance the books, increase the value of the club, and play that Moneyball essence game. Whilst they're not playing it the same degree, they are having to make that decision to write off that amount of money because he's not going to be worth much at 33 years old.
I suppose. Drew, do you think that the argument would be made that Mo Salah could potentially make that money back by winning Liverpool trophies? I think you muted, Drew.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember his stat where we were like second highest club wages or something like that because of add-ons. And I think that goes back to Bob's point of what is he asking for? Because I totally agree with Bob where if he's asking for improvements in the team, that makes sense. But if you're asking for 500, 600K, then the kind of selfless interviews of you want to stay at the club and you want to finish your career with Liverpool don't come off as well when you're like, I do, but only if I get paid 600 grand. So I think if the incentives keep getting in there, it's like, yeah, if you keep performing, you get the money. And I'm sure he's not lacking for money with, product placements and all his sponsors. So I really hope that behind the scenes, he's asking for more improvement in the squad, which I'm sure we all could agree on. So that'd be the only justification for me for him getting more wages.
Definitely. I mean, Hyler has said this here, Bob, saying that do you agree with the point? Because obviously Gini Wijnaldum had a very similar predicament at Liverpool where he ran his contract down. The apparent issue was obviously the length of the contract of a 30-year-old player. Do you think they have the same reservations about Salah despite the obvious contradiction in ability?
Yeah, I was going to say, if they do, then they literally need to leave the footballing decisions to someone else because there's a massive difference in ability between the two. But by the way, I'm still happy about the whole Wijnaldum thing because I just think we've missed him. But that's a whole different subject altogether. But yeah, they're two different people. Like, he's the best player in the league. Gini Wijnaldum was not the best player in the league. He was a good function of our team, but literally he's the best player in the league. So for what it's worth, by the way, I still think he should be on par with, I think Kevin De Bruyne it's on around the 300 to 400 grand a week. He should be around that ballpark at the very least. Because again, like I said, he's the best player in the league. But I genuinely do hope that some of the things he's asking for from the club are: who are you bringing in? Is the manager staying on past 2024? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is going to happen going forward? Because fighting for the league against Man City is hard enough as it is with no improvement. So help us out. I hope he's having him by the barrel on that kind of help us out as a team, rather than I want this amount of money over 5 years, which we don't know, obviously, the facts, but I hope that it's not to do with the length of the contract, and I hope they can iron that out. But I'm getting worried, to be honest, because we've been with FSG for a while, and I just don't understand why it's taking. I know it's a lot of money, but he's said from Orcs, what was it? The thing we were told was they were trying to sort out all the contracts in the summer, right? So they've done them all, the ones that they needed to do, and now we've got to the one that really needs to be done, and it appears there's an issue. So, it's going on to the 8th. As everyone's saying, if we go into the summer and he's not signed, a decision needs to be made in which FSG are not going to let him walk away on a free. And I know people say, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they don't have the money, but PSG are likely to have a massive gap to fill, who's going to be filled by either Haaland or Salah, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are really the two. Especially if you can get Salah on a 1 year, like, I'm not quite sure how much it's going to be, but they can afford him. Do you know what I mean? So this notion that no one can afford him, so he's kind of running out of options. He's the best player in the league. He'll have options. Do you know what I mean? So 100%. We keep calling him the best player in the league, but we don't think he'll have options. It doesn't really add up.
Yeah, absolutely massive shout out to Selection for the donation. Thank you so much, mate. Hear me out. If we don't tie him down before summer, I'd sell him, change the midfield profiles to how Klopp is trying to play, a complete revamp. James, do you think that Salah would command that fee that we would be able to completely revamp?
Well, yeah. You probably, even with the problem we've got is all our front three are about to enter the last 18 months, aren't they? I don't think any of them have signed a long-term contract, but Salah's probably the most valuable, or is the most valuable, and people would pay what they need to do to get him over the line. So you could probably comfortably get 100 million for him if you were to tie him around. You know, if Ronaldo went to Juve for 100 million and Salah's output is outstripping everyone in world football, then you could comfortably get 100 million for a 30-year-old. I know he's 29, but he's 30 in June, so we're talking summer window, 30 years old. Comfortably, you could get 100 million for him. Would that revamp the entire team? Well, if Haaland's available for 60, plus probably another 60 in Raiola fees, you could start to change the profile of the team, as Selection said, and start to sort of build something that's got resale value in it. You know, it's almost phase 2 of Klopp development, isn't it? So you are probably able to generate enough money to start that revamp, but would it put us in competition in the next year? No, we wouldn't be fighting with Man City that following year.
Yeah, definitely. Coming back to you, Bob. I mean, do you think this is a point from Louis that is sort of, I think, a bit of devil's avocado as well? That would Salah's output decline over a new contract similar to Aubameyang? I mean, you could say the same for Mesut Ozil as well, and Wayne Rooney as well is another one. And if so, do you think Liverpool have this in mind and are trying to wait it out?
So when are they going to wait till, like, at the last day before his contract runs out? I don't think it will. I don't think he comes across as that, because really and truly, if that's the case, genuinely he could have quite easily been pushing for a move already. Really, do you know what I mean? And not saying things like I want to stay, because realistically, once he goes, we'll all just be fuming with the owners. We won't really be fuming with him. Do you know what I mean? So he doesn't have to say all this stuff. I believe he's saying it because he's being genuine, but yeah, I don't see it being a case of once he signed a new contract. I mean, he could get injured once he signs a new contract. Do you know what I mean? So you can't really. There's always a risk, but he's literally the best player. And another thing that comes into it as well is, I know it's a lot of money in that, but it's just the morale of the fan base and the team itself. So it's all well and good saying we can sell him for 100 million to rebuild the team. Everybody thinks we should be going to get Jude Bellingham. He himself, will be 100 million. Do you know what I mean? That's just one. So if that's the revamp, then we've got a long way to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, and once he goes, it's like everybody in the team knows he's the main man. He gets the goals, assists, goals. So we're having to start again with someone that comes to fit into the system. And then you're looking at Klopp. He's got 2 years left after this. Has he really? Is he? I don't know if he's going to sign on. It doesn't. We're not sure anyway. But he'd been here for 8 years plus. He keeps talking about wanting to just basically take a break, which you can see where he's coming from in a way. So there's all these factors to consider, and I don't know. I just think we should just. He's the best player. Time down, obviously within reason. We're never going to know what exactly he demanded and where it went wrong if it does go wrong. We just all want to get it sorted so we can go into the summer knowing that that one's done. In fact, before the summer, that would be nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, because can you imagine playing the Champions League final and he hasn't signed a new contract? Like, we'll be playing the Champions League final about the same time worrying, is this his last? All of that rubbish we can't really be asked to be dealing with, to be honest.
Yeah,
I will say, Bob, and I'm not going to get too accountancy with it, but you receive 100 million for Salah, you receive all that money up front, and then let's say you spend 100 million on Jude Bellingham, but you sign him to a 6-year contract. You split that 100 million over 6 years.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's how you amortize the money over the duration. So you could, in theory, buy 2 or 3 players at 100 million and amortize the money over the duration of the contract.
Yeah, that's
so that
fair.
Yeah, you're able to build more than a couple of players. But you're right, one player would cost one player, and if they're trying to net it off to zero, you could probably get 2, maybe 3 players at a maximum, which isn't a revamp, really, if you're going to lose your entire front 3.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a viable.
I'm not sure. Was it Drew that mentioned Haaland? I mean, the wages he demands, and its own, you might as well just give that to Salah because. Let's be straight. Erling Haaland's not going to come to Liverpool in any team in England and finish his career in England. He's already speaking about wanting to play in Spain one day. That's before he's even left Dortmund. So, I mean, we've got a guy that's saying, "I'd rather play my last game for Liverpool." Like, just give him. If that is the kind of wages in and around, then we might as well give it him. Really.
Haaland's on minimum wage, isn't he? It's Riola that takes all the money.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole separate conversation. Do you know what I mean? And then. 2 years down the line, Raiola will just do an interview saying how he's not happy about it, and there's nothing we can do about it. So really.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people in the chat. If you can subscribe to the channel, we're only a couple away now from 2,000, and that would be amazing if you could do that. Drew, I'm going to bring this comment up from Petrie, who is an absolute legend of the channel, by the way. He's been around for a long, long time. I'm gonna put it to you. Do you genuinely think this will happen? Because is AFCON going to add or decrease from his value? I don't know.
I don't think it will have a huge benefit when he's just absolutely killing it in the league. I don't think you need to do anything else than perform for Liverpool to demand that you need, demand your contract. So I don't think it will change the situation, but I really do hope it gets done because it's reminding me of the Suarez situation. Like where in terms of when Suarez left, everyone knew. It was just like, oh, that's it. Like there's no way. So, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shout out to you lot. Get in. And massive shout out to Selection, by the way. You're paying our bills, bro. I love you. I love you so much. We should be able to get 100+ million. Don't want Haaland. We should start rebuilding for the next manager. In brackets, Gerrard. That's a completely different debate. Maybe we might go and do a Jurgen Klopp manager debate if you'd want us to do that. Leave your request because if you're giving us super chats, we'll do anything you want, fella. We'll do anything within reason. And getting ready to take off Diaz and Luis Diaz to start. That would be Diaz and Guiri. That's an interesting one. Onto Salah, potential Salah replacements. I know we're not really talking about this one, James. Would Luis Diaz and Guiri be on your list? And if not, who would be if he potentially did get sold for that 100 million fee?
Yeah, this is where look, you're trying to replace the top scorer in the Premier League for the last 5 years. So you're not talking your current wingers like your Diaz and was it Guiri?
Guiri, yeah.
Guiri. Why is it always names I can't say? You're talking Mbappe, you're talking Haaland, you're talking Harry Kane, you're talking people that can match Salah's goal output. Because if you lose the goal output, we're not going to do particularly well. And Mane's goal output's dropped. Jota's not going to cover it himself. So we're talking goal output. Do you go to a striker? Do you try and find someone that can do that same level of goal output? I don't think I think they're opportunity creation wingers, unpredictable. But unless you got someone that can score it, it's just not going to work out for me.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to get through some other comments. Thank you, Matt, for your comments as well. Wouldn't go anywhere near Haaland because of who his agent is. Was called so much trouble and be off for a couple of years. I think Bob alluded to that earlier as well. I mean, I'll go to you, Drew. What would you think if Erling Haaland was the decision based on if Mo Salah was sold?
I'd be happy. That's the kind of transfer level of quality that would need to happen. Like that's what I was saying with Suarez. Like when Suarez left, like James saying, you're not just like trying to replace him with, two players. It's like you're replacing literally the best player in the world. So the fear factor that goes into that too. When we line up with Salah in the squad, like everyone like on the opposition team knows what he can do. It would take a big player to step up into those shoes to cause that same level of fear factor. So for me, it's Haaland or Mbappe. Like those are the only two players that can replace Salah, and everyone would be like, okay. As for the agent issue with Raiola, I think that he would keep his mouth shut as long as Haaland was happy and Liverpool were winning. So I don't doubt that would be the case if Haaland was in the team. So I'd hope there wouldn't be any issues until he wants to make his move to Spain. But if we've won 3 Premier League titles and a couple Champions Leagues in that time, I'm a happy boy.
The way Spanish football's going with their financial regulations as well, where they can only spend 70% of their income and stuff like that, which is affecting the TV rights. And now a private company owns a percentage, doesn't it? I think, the COVID relief. They're not going to be able to afford Haaland in a few years if it carries on like that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's Barcelona and Real Madrid, I think, will always be the pinnacle for most footballers' careers because of like how the era that we've all grown up in. I mean, in multiple generations, the Barcelona and Real Madrid are the pinnacle, and I don't think that will change. But Bob, on the Raiola situation, you alluded to it. How much would a player's agent put you off signing a player? I know we're going a bit off piste here, but how much would, say, if it was a troublesome agent, would you be put off from signing a player completely?
I mean, if the player is unreal, you could probably just suck it up, don't you, to be honest? This is the problem. So he's the same agent as Pogba, because now if Pogba was doing what he was doing in the World Cup, I don't think it'll be that much of an issue, right? But he's not. He's injured or he's not doing whatever. So then it becomes more of a problem. If Haaland is doing the business, and this is kind of another thing about it, right? The fact that we're speaking about Haaland coming in to replace Salah, I mean, that just gets me down in itself. Like, we should just be in for Haaland anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got a front three that's declining age-wise. Like Roberto Firmino, there's a number 9 slot that needs filling at some point. The guy's got a release clause that was lower than the record signing we spent for Van Dijk. But within the fan base, we're kind of already accepting that we're not in the market for him because of his wages. Like, we won the Premier League and the league, and we're Liverpool Football Club, but we're kind of like, we won't be able to get him. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like we should just be like, he should just be coming in anyway. Like, it's not like we'd have to pay 140 million pounds for him or whatnot. Like, we should just be in the market for him anyway. But yeah, as for the question about the agent being put off, I won't be having to be put off by it. If it's just someone that's coming in scoring goals every week.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And to be honest, with Haaland, it seems to be like, I don't know, he's got a little bit more control of Raiola. I think there was not long ago where Raiola came out and said something about him going somewhere, and like the next day Raiola had to like put a statement out going, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that," or something like that. And that's kind of the first time I've seen him backtrack on something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it apparently was to do with Haaland's family not being happy with all those suggestions being made. So if he can be able to nip it in the bud, unlike some of his other clients, then we're all good, really. But yeah, bring him in. There's a number 9 slot that needs filling. Bring him in. But again, I go back to the owners. The problem with the owners, I think personally anyway, is their remit is, as long as we're in the Champions League, that's fine. Anything else on top of that becomes a bonus. That's what I think anyway. So if they're to sell Salah and we're saying, right, we need someone to come in to get those goals and assists, they're probably looking well, we could just get someone 23, like the lad at Villarreal at the moment. They're probably looking at him thinking, okay, he will grow into a Salah maybe in 3-4 years' time. Whereas we're thinking, well, no, because we're that close to Man City. We want another league title under this manager. What's going on? Do you know what I mean? That is not matching an ambition to compete for a league title. That is, well, this squad will be able to get us top 4. The Champions League money will come in. If you can get us the league, great. If you can get us a cup, great. But and then that's kind of how the whole Super League thing was brought up, wasn't it? So
yeah, this guy, right? I'm willing to like give you a knighthood, bro. That is unbelievable. Thank you so much for the donation. We absolutely appreciate it. Did anyone think Salah would be the player he is today? Doubt it. Who's to say Diaz couldn't do that? We've seen what Klopp can do. Just look at Jota. Liverpool look for opportunities. I suppose that's a fair point, because when Liverpool bought Mohamed Salah, he was not the finished article, Drew, and he's managed to become this world-class player. So should we be looking at that market again?
That's definitely a fair point. Like, for all we know, next player we steps up could be Jota, and he could just fill in Salah's boots like he wasn't there. So that is a fair point. But I think the difference in this transfer is that he is the best player in the world. Yeah, somebody will need to step up and fill his shoes if he leaves Liverpool. But you're looking for what do we do with that money? And if we have the opportunity to get like a direct replacement, like an Mbappe or Haaland, who are young players and arguably some of the best in the world, that's a no-brainer for if we can get that deal done. But as for getting some more, potential FSG signings, which are, players on the cusp, and yeah, I totally agree. And another player I'd throw in the mix is Nkunku from Leipzig, because I think he's on that trajectory as well. But we're also looking at, as we said before in the stream, Firmino and Mane, like pushing it up in years and on a bit of a decline. So I'm almost wondering if we could keep Salah and potentially get rid of one of the other ones. But I'd rather say it in a nicer way than get rid of. But you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Just looking at some more comments, James. So we've got this from Carter, who is our resident Ruben Loftus-Cheek lover. We do love Carter. He said, normally I'm not giving a players big contracts, Henderson, but as Salah gets to 34, Gordon will be 20 and ready to start playing significant minutes, so I don't have as big an issue. Don't forget Harvey Elliott exists as well. I mean, he can play on that right-hand side. I don't think we should burden the players of that young age with the Mo Salah replacement tag. But he makes a fair point that if we can, get Salah to nurture these players, potentially that the money that you would get from paying for Salah could pay for, say, a player to be nurtured by the world's best player, mate.
Yeah, I think it was in an interview with Andy Robertson recently, where Andy Robertson said Gordon and Salah are spending a huge amount of time together. He's really taking him under his wing. He's really sort of helping him and supporting him. But we have to remember, this is Liverpool Football Club trying to fight to be the top 1% in world football. The majority of our youth prospects will not make it at our club. That's not to say they're not going to be professional footballers and at the highest level or anything like that. Is Gordon at 20? Yes, he might take that next level. He might take that next leap. He might do, he might take the steps that Harvey Elliott's taken. But in all likelihood, we're probably going to have to try and find a 23-year-old, a 24-year-old who is showing the statistical elements Jota showed, Salah showed before we signed him, Mane showed, and sign them to spend some time with them, because you cannot rely on the hope that Gordon, when he hits 20, is going to be good enough. So yes, definitely there's something in that relationship, and I think it's going to be valuable, but we need somebody else probably in that in-between age signed to be the next one. If Salah is going to be with us till he's 34, there needs to be Salah Mark II trained by Salah, because he won't be able to play all the games once he's hitting 34. He's not going to be sprinting around 70 games a season.
What I will say to you, James, is will he? Because if you look at a man and look in the shape that he's in, he's absolutely,
isn't
he makes everyone here and everyone across the world feel absolutely like shit about themselves, because look at him. He's just absolutely a shredded man. And I would genuinely, I don't know about you, Bob, I'd put him in the category that he probably could play until he's 40, if you look at him now.
Yeah, without doubt, he obviously looks after himself, kind of physically, kind of going down the Ronaldo mode sort of thing. So I can definitely see him getting to 34, 36, maybe losing a tiny little bit of pace, but still probably being more clever upstairs and being able to do some other stuff in and around the box, save his energy a bit more. But yeah, I think maybe say for instance, he wants a 4-year contract. I can see him seeing that through it without any bar any injuries, any significant injuries, without any like bad decline kind of thing. The only thing as well, obviously, if we do happen to let him go and we do follow the FSG model about bringing in players on the cusp, it's like I keep saying Klopp's got 2 years left. How much energy has he got to be like nurturing another person? Like at the beginning it was all right because we were, he came in where we needed to make those steps to get to where we needed to get to. Now unless he's going to stay and sign a new contract, which we all hope that is the case, then fair enough. But if he's going to stick to the 2-year thing in 2024, bringing in someone who he needs to then nurture around while still compete with Man City, who, by the way, they're not going to not buy anyone. Do you know what I mean? So they're going to get better. So we need, like, I just feel like it will sap a little bit of energy out of him, like kind of similar to what the situation. Obviously, not as bad as Dortmund because that was happening every year and it was going to Bayern Munich kind of thing. But I can only imagine if you were in that situation, you're that close, and then your best player leaves, and then they're like, right, here's Janjuma from Villarreal. Like, feels like you're starting again a little bit, doesn't it? Like, it's God, it makes it harder. Basically, it makes the task harder.
Definitely. Mate, this guy is honestly my favorite person I've ever seen. Honestly,
the selection.
You are the greatest selection I've seen. Hell no, Harvey should not be on the right. He suits the role Klopp was playing him in. Attacking midfielder, I'd sell Keita, Origi, Mane, and keep Firmino. It's an interesting take. I mean, we're talking about Origi. Hyla's just mentioned this as well. The clause with Origi is that he starts a certain amount of games. And it's actually in all competition. I did say in a previous stream that it's just Premier League. No, it is all competitions. But yeah, what do you think to this one, Drew? It's certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's a possibility, but I also think the point out there too kind of is a worry notice for potential FSG replacements. Like we could sign somebody like a Keita and then turns out to have injury crises and never, sees the pitch for a string of 10 games. So I don't think this is the easiest kind of situation Liverpool is in right now. And as Bob said, any ground we give up is going to be eaten up by Man City or other teams in the league that are pushing, making moves. So this isn't the time for Liverpool to be rolling the dice on players. So as far as outgoings go, that's a fair point. But I like maybe get rid of the dead wood in the squad, but who you're bringing in needs to be the best. Like I remember.
What Drew just said there is a good point about you could buy someone to come in and be injury prone or suffer from injuries. One thing about Salah that kind of gets taken for granted is not only is he really good, he's just always available. Do you know what I mean? He's not injured.
100%.
So, do you know what I mean? Since he's come in, he's not had a spell where he's been out for a month or two. Like, do you know what I mean? He's just there. Every game he's available. So, yeah, that is a big plus considering what we've seen in our midfield. Do you know what I mean? We had a lad available all season last year, and he's not now.
I mean, I'm just going to put it. I don't think he was very good, but he was available.
Yeah, he might not be very good, but he was available. And that being available is a thing. Do you know what I mean? No point in being part of the squad if you're not there.
My guy. He just carries on. He just loves it. City will lose Pep before we lose Klopp, I believe. Who's to say City will be the same? All Liverpool needs to be is strategic in the next couple of years. I mean, Pep Guardiola's contract runs out next year, James. Do you think Liverpool will be looking towards sort of the season after that to be their main title charge, Klopp's last dance, shall we say? Or is it, or should we be going for that before? We've got another season to fight Pep City.
I genuinely reckon FSG pick up the phone to Klopp once a month and say, "Do you want to sign a new contract yet?" And he goes, "No, not yet. I'll speak to you when I'm ready." Because you've got to make the call. He's making millions. He's not spending millions. you'd have to be picking up the phone going, "You want a new contract yet? How much do you want? How much?" But Pep. I think Pep said that he doesn't want to renew. I think what Klopp really is thinking about is his phase 2 team now. You know, our spine of our team is getting to that age where you need to start thinking about the next phase. That's why players like Kanate coming in, Kelleher. You start to think about Harvey Elliott potentially playing that Goetze role. I know selection said that he likes him in midfield, and I think that's probably where Klopp sees him. So I think Jota, I think Klopp's starting to think about this phase 2. And I think if he wasn't interested in phase 2, he wouldn't be making these types of moves. He'd be getting players who are immediate now, a very Mourinho type signing, just someone that can do it immediately. A bit like, you know, everyone would be like Thiago, there's not much value to signing them. There's not much resale. It's just a contract for now. But he is building for phase 2.
Would he be allowed to do that by FSG though?
Maybe. That's an interesting point. I mean, and I don't
3 contracts.
I don't see
AC Milan built an entire dynasty off it, didn't they? Every time
Yeah,
someone
of
came
course.
with free
No,
contract,
I agree. I don't disagree with the way of going, but I just don't see how FSG agreed to you just whacking a load of 30-year-olds on their books and then potentially, I don't know.
I don't see Jurgen Klopp as the kind of guy to leave Liverpool in a worse place that he came in with. I mean, he'd do very well to do that. I think that would be a massive achievement. But, you know, I think he will be building for the future, and whoever the next manager is, he will have a big say in that. But, you know, I'm gonna go back to you, Bob. What do you think the transfer strategy will be now going into Jurgen Klopp's possible final 2 years? Hopefully it's not, but his possible final 2 years. And will Mohamed Salah be a part of it?
I'm going to say that I hope he's a part of it. Do I think he'll be a part of it? I'm not sure, to be honest. And the reason I'm not sure is purely because of how long it's took, how long Salah's been telling us he wants to stay. Like I said, this was before we beat Man United 5-0, and that seems like it was ages ago. When he done that,
we did beat Man United 5-0. Just to remind everyone.
Yeah, of course, we have to remind everyone. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, since those times, and I remember Gini Van Alden doing the same thing, telling us how he wanted to stay. It's not up to him. It's not up to him. It's not up to him, and that ended one way. And Klopp says last time they asked him about it, he said these things take time. Yeah, like so I really do hope that we do keep him and it does get sorted out. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure if it will or not, to be honest. At the moment, my hunch with the owners, I just don't really feel confident that they'll do it. I don't feel confident that they will do it, to be honest. But with regards to the phase and Klopp backing Klopp again, see the next phase of the team, like people, I'm sure we've all been getting excited, but some of the rumors of Jude Bellingham coming in again, that will be someone in midfield that is young, that would help that next phase of building the team. So maybe along the discussions of Klopp being asked, do you want to sign a new deal, is how much are you going to back me to build a new team? Because that requires money. Like we can't just keep hoping to sell one person and build a new team off that. Like even when Pep does leave, they've still got the money. Do you know what I mean? Whoever the manager comes in still has that money to spend, whereas Klopp's been here and he's been pretty much having to wheel and deal all across the place. So hopefully those are the kind of talks that are going. Salah's saying, I want the manager to stay because he brought me here. He's made me to who I am. Get him to stay. And we need help player-wise. And Klopp is telling the owners, I need help. If you're going to want me to stay and extend, this needs to be less stressful. Back me in this next phase. Basically, everyone putting pressure on FSG to basically back the team, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. It's a really, really interesting one. We're going to conclude the stream shortly. Thank you so much to everyone for oh my God, this guy just doesn't stop. I honestly, I am indebted to you in ways that I didn't know. People love to talk down on FSG. Yes, they don't spend big, but they're very calculating. They've already started. It's their business. They will. Will it be as quick as you like? Probably not. I think it's an interesting one because my favorite quote about FSG, Drew, and as an American, you can appreciate the multiple sides of this. They're overly sensible in an overly unsensible market. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to have them as our owners. Like, yeah, they're not splashing the cash all the time, but I hope they do on Salah. Like, I think again, the Suarez comparison. I don't want to lose Salah. Like, I didn't want to lose Suarez, but they've come out a couple times now. I remember the first time when they raised the ticket prices, and the fans were absolutely not having that. And FSG came out and apologized, and put that ban on 2 years of no ticket price raising. I know the Super League got them in a bit of hot water, but honestly, for me, if you look at the new Champions League rules coming into play, I think next year I can see where the clubs were coming from because they're quite similar to the Super League. But for the most part, I don't, I don't have any qualms with FFG's ownership. I think they are represent the club very well, have done great business from when they've taken the club to where they've brought it today. And they at least deserve the chance to bring it into the next phase. So I put my backing behind them.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not FSC out, by the way, or want them out immediately. Just to clear that up, they've done good things infrastructure-wise and everything else, but I'm just one of them that just wants a bit more. That's all. Do you know what I mean?
Really? It's just actually happening, Carter. By the way, that's an interesting signing. I rate Chris Wood. I think he's class. Good Premier League striker. So, but we will leave this stream there. Thank you so much to James, to Bob, and to Drew. It's been a real great stream. Massive thank you to the absolute legend that's Selection for the donations. You are very much more than welcome whenever you want to come on. We really appreciate the community. Everyone contributing in their own way. And yeah, just you're all heroes. But yeah, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers as well. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're just keeping growing, and the money that you put in will only go into better content. And that's what we hope to do. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much to the guys once again, and we will see you tomorrow probably in another stream. See you later. Bye bye.